All right, so I have a story for you that relates a game that we are playing with our daughters to how we are in life. It's kind of a cool thing. It is a cool thing on just how many things come up as a parent that relate to ways that I need to grow, that relate to ways that all of us as adults need to grow, life lessons that on a daily basis we're repeating over and over and over again to our daughters are also things that are really important for us to remember as well. So it's really nice and very much of a wake-up call teaching these things to our daughters, because in turn we're also like teaching ourselves those things a little bit more as well. So being a parent, I think there's some sort of quote, I'm going to butcher it, but it's like being a parent really puts a mirror in front of you and the things that you need to work on. And so anyway, this is a fun little story of a game that we are playing that totally relates to something I have felt personally as an adult many, many times. So it's my oldest daughter. She's almost 5 this year. And my wife, and they're downstairs in the living room, and they're playing catch with a bouncy ball. At first they start nice and close, throwing and catching, and then moving a little bit further back. And as she moves further back, we're getting excited, celebrating. Yeah, good job, good catch, babe, right? We're working on that hand-eye coordination, following it and then tossing it back. And it starts maybe like 2-3 feet. We move to 5 feet, 7 feet, 10 feet. Now we're at like 12 feet, 15 feet. And as we're getting to the end, so I would say we have maybe 20 feet, give or take, in the living room, that there's this space that we are playing in. As we get to about that point, little sister, she comes down the stairs because, she's upstairs. I don't know what she was doing. She was getting into trouble. I'm sure. But she comes downstairs because we're yelling and celebrating and excited for big sister, and she's watching what's going on. So at this point, big sister is, about 15 feet, throwing and catching. Like, it's awesome. She's nailing it. We're celebrating her and, cheering her on. Little sister comes down. She wants to get in the mix. And we're like, nope, little sister, hold on. Big sister's almost done, right? We're moving her back further and further. She's waiting patiently on the side. She's watching. She's seeing like this grand event going on. And then finally, we get to the very end. There's no more room for big sister to go. And she makes her last catch. And we're super excited. That was just kind of the game that came about, right? As we threw, she moved back further and further, and it just kind of became this fun thing. So, of course, little sister's turn. She comes in, and immediately, what does she want to do? She wants to go to the very end. She wants to start at the wall, right? At the very end, because that's what she came in and saw. She saw big sister throwing and catching, and super successful, just crushing it, having a great time. We're celebrating her success at the very end. And we're like, no, babe, come here, right? So we start her really close, and she's like, no, right? Runs all the way to the wall, wants to start at the wall. So we go, okay, all right. So we throw it, and it's like, it just stops right in front of her. Like, arms didn't even come out. She had no idea what to do. So we're like, okay, come here, right? So we move her close. No, goes back, right? She wants to start at the wall. Of course, because she saw big sister do it. That's what she wants to do. Finally, we're like, okay, listen, stand right here. We get our arms out. We toss the ball. We move our arms to catch the ball. Yeah, good job, right? We start at, 2 or 3 feet, and we get her used to that coordination, right? Something that big sister had already kind of figured out. Now she was, graduating to the next level. We're doing that with little sister now. So 2 or 3 feet, move back, 5 feet, 7 feet, 10 feet, right? You know, a few drops here and there, but she's getting the idea. We end up finding our good sweet spot at about 10 to 12 feet. That's where it was challenging for her, but she was still able to catch it. She was having fun. She was able to toss it back. So like that was the sweet spot. You know, mind you, she's 2.5. Big sister's almost 5. So there's an age gap there, but that was a success for her. We were excited for her. She was excited. So now let's step out of this child's game here. Just think about this scenario in terms of what we want to do when we see somebody else super successful. It could be anything: business, athletics, a skill set of some kind. It doesn't matter. We come in, most of the time, we come in to the game at the end of the game for them. I mean, not like the end of the line, the end, you know, the end of their game or whatever, but we come in when they're, you know, they're cash flowing, they're successful. They've gone through these stages of, losses, of failures, of, you know, having to hire and then fire, of, you know, the late nights, the early mornings, the blood, sweat, and tears, the grind, whatever it might be. Like they've done that, and now, you know, we're seeing these awesome results from them. We're seeing people celebrate their success, the awards that they're getting, the money that they're making, the you know, the flow that they have, the abilities that they have, the, you know, all that they're capable of. We see that and we go, yes, that is what we want, right? Of course, I do it all the time. You know, I see people that are, you know, that are writing books that sell millions. I see people that have real estate portfolios that, you know, are tens of millions, that are, you know, influencers, or have newsletters with subscribers, you know, more than I can count, right? Like, so all these different little things that I'm personally working on, that I'm on the earlier stages of, that I'm trying to figure out as I go. I see these people that are so successful, and I'm like, yeah, that's it. That's what I want to do. I just need to do that. But I have to remember all the stuff that they did to get to that point. And that they had to go from 0 to 1 at one point as well. That they weren't born knowing how to throw a football 100 yards. They weren't born writing a New York Times bestseller, or already with, you know, a million subscribers to their email, you know, the second they came out of the womb, or something like that. Like, that just doesn't happen. People have to start somewhere. You might have been born into a family that has like some legit skill sets, like, I don't know, like the Mannings, right? You know, like football players for generations, or families that already have a large real estate portfolio. Like what I'm trying to leave for my kids, you know, you might have been born into a family like that, but you still have to learn how to operate it. You know, I guess you have an upper hand with the experience of your family teaching you, like, one-on-one. Yeah, but like, you still have to learn it. People, no matter how silver of a spoon they were born with, still have to learn at some point, right? The skill has to be developed at some point. So let's talk about kind of like the general population, you know, ones that weren't born into a family. Like, we have to start somewhere. 0 to 1 has to happen. And so when we see these people that are, you know, like the analogy, they're tossing the ball already from a large distance, and they're being celebrated for their awesomeness and their ability, you have to remember that they started close up as well. They started tossing the ball from 2 to 3 feet, and then they went to 5, and then they jumped to 10 and 12, 15, 20. They worked their way from nothing to something as well. And so as much as we want to jump in and get right down to it and be at the very end, that that milestone that we look at and we admire, it's okay to start in the beginning. It's okay to ask the stupid questions, to not know what you're doing, to fail again. Embrace those times. That is part of your journey, because without that, you're going to get, if you jump in and you just try to get to that one point that you see some other successful person at, you're not going to have that buildup that makes you what you are, that writes those experiences that you can share with others, right? That is just as important as that success level. Being able to share your journey, be able to share the lessons, to provide that value along the way, each step along the way, to be able to give that value back to somebody else. That's gold right there. Because, I mean, let's just talk from a business standpoint. That value that you can provide on each step of your journey, what you've been through, what you've learned, all your experiences, like, that's what can be monetized, right? But then, like, that's also part of your journey. That's your book. Those are the articles that you write. Those are the YouTube videos that you make. That's the content that you share. Like, that is the meat. And so just coming in and trying to go whoop right to the end, you leave out so much value, so much on the table that is noteworthy. So, bringing it back around, just like my daughters, just like my youngest daughter wanting to come in and jump right to the end, but not having the capabilities yet to do so, take that lesson, internalize it, and realize that all of us, whatever we're trying to accomplish, we need to start somewhere. And embrace wherever it is that you're going to start, and embrace that whole journey along the way, because that is the value itself right there. I love these lessons that I'm learning from my kids, and I hope this one resonated with you in some bit. Let me read this last little quote to you, because this is really where it's at right here. So this is a quote by Brené Brown. One day you will tell the story of how you overcame what you went through, and it will be someone else's survival guide. So I'll read it one more time. One day you will tell the story of how you overcame what you went through, and it will be someone else's survival guide. So all the things that you're going through right now to get to where you want to be, one day you telling the story of that, sharing that, right? This is what I'm talking about. These are the milestones of you stepping back a little bit at a time. All of that, all those lessons along the way, when you're sharing them, will be someone else's survival guide one day. That's the real meat of it right there. So enjoy the journey. Enjoy the process. Embrace every little bit of it along the way. Document it, share it. In whatever form of content that feels comfortable to you. And I promise you, one day, not only will you be at that level that you want to be, that progress level that you came in and you've been shooting for this whole time, but it will be full circle. People will look at you and want to be there as well. Stay in the fight. Enjoy the journey.